Which is the ultimate tablet of 2024? The iPad Air M2 versus the OnePlus Pad 2. Is the sleek and powerful iPad Air M2 the ultimate choice? Or does the innovative OnePlus Pad 2 steal the spotlight? Don't miss this video, as today we are taking a deep dive into their features and performance, and by the end you're gonna have a clear winner based on your needs. My name is Prithviraj and I create videos on productivity, tech and life. Starting with the OnePlus Pad 2, OnePlus has really put in a lot of effort creating a device that looks as well as feels very high-end. It features a sleek unibody aluminum design with quite an unique camera placement, which definitely adds a subtle as well as a stylish flair. Holding it in your hands feels great, to be honest, and we have got all the essentials. A USB Type-C port that supports USB 3.2 Gen 1. We also have speaker grills on both the ends for a more immersive sound experience, and of course the magnetic pins for connecting your OnePlus stylus. This centrally placed circular camera at the back, that's definitely something that stands out, to be honest. OnePlus did a great job with the symmetry here, and the device feels super solid. The iPad Air M2. Apple keeps it simple but iconic with its thin aluminum build and of course the squared off edges. And this tablet feels premium as well as sturdy. The power button doubles as the fingerprint sensor, or Touch ID as Apple likes to call it. This adds a layer of convenience which the OnePlus Pad 2 kind of lacks in. So the design wise, the iPad Air M2 as well as the OnePlus Pad 2 are pretty close in terms of quality, but Apple's Touch ID is definitely an advantage. Both the tablets offer impressive displays, but they both are optimized for different experiences. The OnePlus Pad 2 comes with a 12.1-inch 3K LCD display with a resolution of 2120x3000 pixels. And the cherry on top is that it comes with a refresh rate of 144Hz. This makes it super smooth and gives us a very satisfying experience for gaming or watching videos. Even though it's an LCD panel, it's on the higher end of LCD tech, as it offers vibrant colors and good brightness, though it does miss the deep blacks of an AMOLED screen, but nevertheless, it's an excellent display. The iPad Air M2 on the other hand has a slightly smaller 11-inch liquid retina display with a resolution of 1640x2360 pixels. It's exceptionally color accurate and vibrant, along with 500 nits of brightness, hence making it suitable for both indoor as well as outdoor usage. The iPad Air's biggest drawback here is that it lacks a ProMotion display, meaning it's capped at a refresh rate of 60Hz. If you have used a higher refresh rate screen before, you're definitely gonna notice the difference. Audio is essential if you're using your tablet for media consumption. The speaker setup that we have on the OnePlus Pad 2 supports Dolby Atmos as well as spatial audio. This delivers a surround sound experience that adapts to how you're holding the device. While the sound is loud and detailed, we lack a punch in the low-end segment, as in the bass lacks a bit when compared with the iPad. The iPad Air M2 offers a much more balanced audio profile, although it's not as loud as the OnePlus Pad 2, but it's got a very warm and clear sound, which is perfect for both music as well as video content. The iPad Air also fine-tuned its sound for clarity, which is particularly noticeable while listening to dialogues. But loudness-wise, the OnePlus Pad 2 is definitely the louder among the two. Both of the tablets offer us with a great media package. As usual, you're gonna have an amazing time binge-watching your favorite content on Netflix. Both of them will handle this aspect quite nicely. But if you ask me, I'll slightly incline more towards the OnePlus Pad 2 in this aspect, simply because of the faster refresh rate. The 144Hz display really enhances the overall media experience. And also, we are very close to hitting 100k subs on this channel. I'd really appreciate if you could consider hitting that subscribe button. That would definitely help me out a lot. Now let's get into the business end of the two tablets. Let's talk about power. The OnePlus Pad 2 is powered by the Snapdragon 8 Gen 3 chipset. We get options for either 8 gigs or 12 gigs of RAM. This alone makes it a powerhouse in its own right. Also, we get storage options of 128 gigs as well as 256 gigs. This setup is great for multitasking, gaming, and for everyday tasks. But Apple simply takes it to the next level. Apple brings in some heavy artillery with the M2 chipset. It has the same chipset used in many MacBooks. This makes the iPad Air a multitasking and a creative powerhouse. Whether you're editing 4K videos, gaming, or running demanding apps like Procreate or DaVinci Resolve, the M2 chipset handles it all effortlessly. While both the tablets are fast, the M2 takes things up a notch for creative and power users. It's simply an overkill for a tablet, I must say. Just take a look at the benchmark scores of the two devices on Geekbench 6. The iPad Air with the M2 chipset is simply insane. Software-wise, my iPad Air is currently running on the iPad OS 18 developer beta. iPad OS is best known for its intuitive interface, along with its reliable updates and a robust ecosystem. Apple's software is optimized for the M2 chip, and with its recent updates, multitasking has even become more seamless. Plus, Apple promises long-term updates, so you'll be set for the years to come. On the other hand, the OnePlus Pad 2 runs on Oxygen OS, which is basically a skinned version of Android 14. And to be honest, Oxygen OS is responsive and adds some nice extras. OnePlus promises 3 years of OS updates, which is good, but it may not match Apple's longer support. Android's open ecosystem means you can customize it a lot more. Both the iPad Air M2 as well as the OnePlus Pad 2 brings in a solid gaming experience on the table, but it's it's the hardware and software optimizations that set them apart. Starting with the iPad Air M2, Apple's M2 chipset delivers exceptionally well for the gaming performance. Even demanding games like Genshin Impact, Asphalt and BGMI run super smoothly on high graphics settings without any noticeable lag thanks to the insane M2 chipset. You'll be getting a stable frame rate even during intense scenes. Although the iPad's display is capped at 60Hz, but still, the games feel very responsive due to Apple's focus on latency reduction. For gamers who value stable performance, the iPad Air M2 is a top pick. Moving on to the OnePlus Pad 2, it's powered by the Snapdragon 8 Gen 3 chipset. Combined with that 144Hz refresh rate, it gives a very fluid and immersive experience while gaming, especially for the titles that are optimized for higher refresh rates. OnePlus Pad 2 handles graphic-heavy games quite well, although it may throttle slightly over extended sessions. The iPad Air is the superior choice in this aspect for obvious reasons, but if you love smooth visuals with a high refresh rate, the OnePlus Pad 2 really shines. The display smoothness is definitely where the iPad lacks, and we can visibly see it. When it comes to video editing, the iPad Air M2 truly excels. Thanks to the M2 chipset, you can edit 4K videos without a hitch. Apps like LumaFusion, DaVinci Resolve and Premiere Rush will simply work seamlessly. This means you won't be facing any issues even if you add a lot of transitions or maybe do some high-level color grading on this device. Even when handling multiple video layers and effects, the iPad Air M2's performance is pretty impressive. With iPad OS intuitive clutch controls, the editing experience is highly responsive. This makes the iPad Air a great choice for content creators on the go. On the OnePlus Pad 2, video editing is possible but limited when compared with the iPad. Apps like Power Director and Premiere Rush work well for moderate edits, but it does struggle a bit when handling high-res 4K files or complex edits. The Snapdragon chipset can manage basic video layers and cuts, but the experience isn't as smooth and efficient as the iPad Air M2. Additionally, Android doesn't really have access to pro-grade apps like DaVinci Resolve, which limits more advanced video editing capabilities on the OnePlus Pad 2. So if you're a content creator, iPad Air M2 wins hands down for video editing, thanks to its wider app support and the M2 chipset's raw power. Let's talk about the cameras now. The iPad Air M2 comes with a 12-megapixel rear camera and a front camera with center stage support, which keeps you centered in the frame during video calls. The OnePlus Pad 2 has a 13-megapixel rear camera and an 8-megapixel front camera. For everyday snapshots and video calls, both the cameras perform really well.
So this is the side-by-side comparison of the two cameras. Currently we are testing out the normal mode that we have. Now let's switch to the ultra-wide mode. And coming to the ultra-wide mode, as you can see, the iPad is a lot more wider. And also there is this weird kind of HDR kind of look in this OnePlus Pad 2, whereas the colors feel more natural here. So let me know which look do you prefer among these two cameras.
When it comes to the battery life, the OnePlus Pad 2 features a massive 9510 mAh battery and it comes with a 67 watts charger out of the box. It easily lasts more than a day on moderate use and the battery management is excellent even in standby mode. It lasts really long. The iPad Air M2 offers decent battery life but lacks in terms of charging speed when compared with the OnePlus Pad 2. However, it's efficient enough to last a full day of regular usage, but OnePlus definitely leads in the battery front. Now let's compare the Stylus experience of both the tablets. The OnePlus Stylo 2 versus the Apple Pencil Pro. Please note that you will have to buy the stylus separately for both the devices, so that's gonna increase your overall budget, so please keep that in mind. The Apple Pencil Pro on the iPad Air is super fluid with almost zero latency and great pressure sensitivity. This makes it ideal for note-taking and sketching. The iPad has some of the best app support for stylus-based work, from default apps like Apple Notes to third-party apps like GoodNotes 6 and Notability. Also, Procreate, which is one of the best apps out there for digital art. The OnePlus Stylo 2 is decent, but has a less natural feel, especially when it comes to writing. And on top of that, the OnePlus Notes app lacks the polish and precision. It's functional, but not that great. And the writing experience is not that great with the OnePlus Stylo 2. I previously created a video complaining about the OnePlus Stylo 2, so you can check that out as well. I faced a lot of latency issues and the palm rejection aspect isn't the best in this device. The Apple Pencil Pro simply tears apart in this aspect. While there are third-party Android apps that work well, like Notewise, Nebo, Bamboo Paper and some more, but if you're looking for the best note-taking experience, the iPad Air is definitely the superior choice. You get a lot more app options to choose from, and if digital art or sketching is your priority, then hands down the iPad Air is simply the much better choice in this aspect. By the way, there is another issue I need to point out regarding the design of the OnePlus Pad 2. Since we have this large camera bump over here, it will often wobble while taking notes on the OnePlus Pad 2. So if you would like to take notes on your OnePlus Pad 2, then I would recommend that you simply get a case for your OnePlus Pad, and that will help you fix the wobbling issue. Here's a screenshot of the current pricing of the OnePlus Pad 2 on Amazon India as well as on Amazon US. And here's the current pricing of the iPad Air M2 on Amazon India as well as Amazon US. And here are the screenshots of the OnePlus Stylo 2 and the Apple Pencil Pro in case you're interested in that. So What's the verdict? Which tablet is right for you? If you're looking for a powerhouse with strong creative tools as well as an optimized app ecosystem, and not to forget the top-tier stylus support, in this aspect the iPad Air M2 is simply hard to beat. But if you're after a more budget-friendly option, then the OnePlus Pad 2 is pretty solid. With the smoother 144Hz display, solid battery life and Android's flexibility, the OnePlus Pad 2 is a fantastic choice in that aspect. And to be very honest, if media consumption is your primary objective, then I personally will prefer the OnePlus Pad 2 over the iPad. It has a way smoother display and louder speakers, and also amazing battery life on the go. But performance-wise, the iPad Air is simply the superior choice. You can rather use it as a fully fledged computer, as it offers all the professional apps you might need, all thanks to the M2 chipset. However, if you're a student or a digital artist, then as I previously mentioned, the Apple Pencil Pro is simply way better. So do let me know in the comments which one you would like to buy. But if you solely want a great Android tablet and not an iPad, then you should check out the Samsung Galaxy Tab S9. It features the Snapdragon chipset as well, and to top it off, you get the S Pen right outside the box. Click here on this video, and over there we have compared the Galaxy Tab S9 with the OnePlus Pad 2 in more details. See you there.